friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mandy, the Handmade Homeschooler, and today I have something really special for you. Campfire Curriculums sent me their brand new and number 3, the third Christmas unit study that they have added to their collection, and it is called A Christmas Carol, a novel study. This brand new unit from Campfire is an in-depth literature unit on A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So I have printed it out, I have read through it, and we are going to do a really good overview of this entire unit. Now, just keep in mind, I haven't had time to actually do the unit with my son, but I have been able to read through it. So I feel like I have a pretty good feel for everything that's inside, and I'm going to do my best to kind of give you the greatest overview that I can without actually having done the unit myself. Now, just a really quick overview of how this works. Campfire has units that you buy that you can do as an extension of your curriculum, as your entire curriculum, or as an elective. You get to pick however you want to use this. And when you add it to what they call the core connections, which is an additional book that comes with your units that has all kinds of other subjects like math or science or history, all kinds of things. I have seen everything in here from physics to engineering. I have seen so many really cool things in the core connections that add on to your basic literature unit that you purchase. You can have an entire curriculum within Campfire. It really is up to you how you decide to use the unit. So keep that in mind as well. That's one of the things that we use a lot in our type of study here at home, and you can really mold and shape these and use them however you want. Now, these are for all ages. So after you purchase and you start your downloads, you're going to find a zip folder, and in that zip folder you'll have everything from your main unit to the early learner, and then the growing and advanced unit are together. So basically you're going to have one unit for your young children, and then there's going to be another unit for the growing and advanced. So middle school and high school will be combined together in this one. So my child is in middle school, so we have this one. Now the early learner, it's not a different unit. It's basically the same unit, it's just worded a little bit differently. You might find the activities are a little bit more simple, that type of thing. But seeing that this is just a smaller unit study, you don't need to have 3 separate books for this one, which is great. You're also going to have the novel attached, so you don't have to buy the book. So this comes with A Christmas Carol, and it also has a link for the audio version, which I believe they actually suggest doing the audio version, and that's the one that we have been listening to. I started listening to the audio version. I really like it. He does the voices really well. He's a really great reader. I really like the audio version. Take my advice, do the audio book. Or if you want to do the reading, put on the audio book while you read it. It's a really great version. And you're going to have your core connections in there as well. So you have 4 different downloads. You have the core connections, the early learner, the growing and advanced together unit, and then the book. So you have 4 files within the zip. So you're going to download those and then decide if you're going to print it or if you're going to use digital. Now, if all of your kids have a computer or if you just want to share, you don't even have to print anything out in this entire thing. You can just keep it on the computer, which we have actually done before. But I have over here an Epson Eco Tank printer. We've had it for several years. Everybody always asks me about this printer. Yes, we still like it. No, we've never had any problems. And that's what I print all my units out on. And the main unit, I think, was over 200 pages, and we just did like a back and front, you know, double-sided type of thing, and it printed within an hour, I think. So I've never had a problem with that. I got it on Amazon, and yeah, it's a workhorse. I like it, and it's great for printing out these type of units. So I printed ours out, and I put it in a 3-ring binder, and that's serving its purpose quite well. You can do spiral binding. Sometimes I spiral bind. I don't have my spiral binder anymore. I'm gonna get a new one. So I just went ahead and put it in a 3-ring binder, and that's it. Okay, so when you open the main unit, and I'm gonna go over this main unit because this is the one that I have printed out, and this is the one that I have done the most study on. When you print this out, you are going to start reading, and it does not come with a teacher book because it's not needed. One of the things that I love about Campfire is it's going to guide you step by step, and the first few pages are very important for you to read as the teacher. I do want to draw your attention to the must-read instructions on pages 4, 5, and 6 of the main book. These are pages that you really do not want to skip because this is going to explain to you how to go through this whole entire book. It really holds your hand through everything, and you're going to see in each lesson step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on. You're going to see all of those within your lesson. Now, it's going to still kind of hold your hand through, through going through the entire unit, but you do want to read this content first, especially if you've never used Campfire before. This is going to be kind of like an introduction to the unit, and these are specifically for teachers. So there is no teacher book like I've mentioned before in Campfire units, but you really don't need one because it's going to give you these pages within your unit anyway. So this is pages 4, 5, and 6, and then it's going to show you skip if you want pages, your faith talk, and learning extensions and activity options. So, and there's going to be some parent notes in here too on some of the content. So I highly suggest that you read these pages before you do your unit, just as kind of like a prep step. So you're going to read these pages and it's going to explain to you how to go through the unit. But it's one of those things that really holds your hand as you go through it. So you're going to find little stop signs where you're supposed to stop at each place. You're going to find help pages, which I really, really enjoyed in this unit. Especially, I think it's because I grew up in the early 2000s, late 90s era, and Cliff Notes were like a big thing back then. And I feel like they did a really good job of putting Cliff Notes in here for the book. So it's almost like a little cheat sheet for us parents. If we haven't had time to actually read the novel, it's going to go over the main points of the day's reading. So each day or each time you do a unit, you are going to have a certain amount of the book that you're going to be reading. You're going to be reading the book throughout the whole 10 lessons, which is really great. So they break it up. You're not going to be reading the whole book in one sitting or anything like that. So like the first day, you're going to be reading about 20 minutes of the book on the audiobook version. I'm not sure how many pages it is in the actual novel, forgive me for that. But you're going to be reading the novel for about 20 minutes and it's going to tell you where to stop. And there's a page before you start that reading for the parents that actually gives you like the main points and breaks down like the important things you need to remember as you're going through the novel. So thank you, Campfire, for that. As a parent, I appreciate those pages. So there's all kinds of projects in here. There's everything from making your own Dickens dictionary, which I think is really cool, to even making a movie trailer that they're going to be doing throughout the entire unit. There are STEAM activities, if you don't know what STEAM is. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics, and they really like to add those types of things into their units as projects, and I know a lot of parents really like those. Of course, you don't have to do everything in here, but it's in there for you if you want to do that, and it is part of the unit. So a lot of times we do those activities. There's also a lot of games for the entire family. There's recipes. There's lots of Christmas recipes from the Victorian era, which I really, really enjoy things from the Victorian era. So I really want to make a lot of the recipes that I see in here and maybe use them on our Christmas Day table. I thought that would be really, really fun. I really want to say too, the setup of the entire unit is beautiful. This is my favorite Campfire unit so far. And it's not even like one of those huge units. This is a 10 lesson unit and it's my favorite. Not just because it has a literary component to it, which is, the main part, it's a literary analysis type of novel study, but it's set in the Victorian era. I really enjoyed A Christmas Carol book, and the artwork in here is unmatched. I think they did an incredible job with the artwork on this. It is a beautiful unit. So kudos to Campfire. They did an amazing job with the artwork, with the setup. I mean, you're really going to enjoy it. They really went all out on this unit. Now, there are faith talks and faith components in here after each lesson. So at the end of each lesson, it's going to relate it back to scripture, which I really, really enjoy. Now, of course, those are pages that if you are a secular family, you can skip. Campfire does a really good job of letting secular parents know what parts they probably don't want to do. And I think that there's like a little part up at the top where it's going to tell you you can skip these pages if you're a secular family. So those are in there for secular parents. This unit too, and I've had a lot of people ask me about note-taking with Campfire. Campfire has added so many good note-taking exercises within their units. There is more note-taking types of exercises in here, and it's going to guide the kids on highlighting certain parts, having full family discussions afterwards. There's going to be prompts and questions. There's comprehension questions, which I found really interesting too. And it's going to really check and see if your kids are getting it. And then they have guided questions and time for you and your children to have question time. So it's going to allot a certain amount of time for your kids to ask questions. There's going to be a lot of words in here that they might hear for the very first time because this book was written in the Victorian era. So there's going to be some language in there that they might not understand. So before each reading, there is a vocabulary block, and these are going to be words that are going to come up in the daily reading that your children might not understand because these words are Old English and these things are not really, used anymore in common language. So it's going to go over those vocabulary words so they can better understand the story. Now, there's all kinds of literary elements all inside of this book because it is a novel study. So you're going to see everything from onomatopoeia to foreshadowing, and there's all kinds of those activities within this. So let's say you don't even want to do the core connections. Just with the novel study by itself, you're going to be getting literature, Bible, and history all within this. So this is such a great unit by itself. And then if you add in the projects within the main book, you're going to get art, you're going to get cooking, you're going to get music, and then if you add in the core connections, you're going to get in even more. I know that there's a lot of different elements just within the core connections. So you're going to get, probably science and math too. Now, one of my very favorite parts of this entire novel study was the background of the story. So you're not just analyzing the story, A Christmas Carol. You are analyzing Charles Dickens, and you are analyzing his story personally. So we're going to go dive into his childhood within the first lesson, and we're going to understand the background of maybe why this book was written and how he came to writing this book. I really, really enjoyed that as a reader. I really love backstories and knowing why people write the things that they write. This was very enjoyable for me. I found myself really poring over it. And then in another lesson, we're going to learn about what Victorian era London was before and after A Christmas Carol was written, and how that story impacted the country and Christmas as a whole, as a holiday. So I really, really enjoyed those two lessons. The first lesson and the lesson on London before and after A Christmas Carol were my two favorite lessons that I read through. Now, of course, being a Campfire unit, and Campfire is a Christian curriculum, everything is going to relate right back to the gospel, and it's going to give a gospel message all the way through this. So, I love that it's not what people would necessarily think of when they think of a Christian Christmas story. Most people think, oh, the nativity. This one is going to take A Christmas Carol and it's going to relate it directly back to the gospel and show where in the book we're seeing those Christian messages and where we're seeing Charles Dickens, where we're seeing his faith come through within the story itself. So I think they did a great job of that. Now, don't forget, you also have a links page, and that's going to help you as well. So when you sign in to your Campfire account on their website, you're going to have a links page, and when you click your unit within that links page, you're going to have all of these links come up that are going to help you along the way through your unit. So they have so many different extensions. So not only do you have the core connection in addition to your main book, but you have a links page too that's going to help you and give you additional resources for this study. So that is my review of Campfire's A Christmas Carol study. And hopefully I didn't say A Christmas Story too much. I grew up in the 80s and A Christmas Story was a really, really big movie, and it still is. So I have repeatedly called this A Christmas Story by accident here in the house. And I don't mean to do that. I really am referencing this book. I'm not referencing the movie. I digress. But 80s kid here. So I really enjoyed this one. Thank you. Huge thank you to Campfire for sending me this A Christmas Carol unit for a review. Really, really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to doing it next year with my son, and I think it's going to be a great one for us to do together because we both love books, we both love literature, and we both love classic books. So this is right up his and I's alley, and we're gonna have so much fun doing this. Now don't forget, Campfire also has 2 other Christmas units. I have reviews for those on my YouTube page if you want to go check those out. And I really enjoyed those other 2. Those other 2 were so much fun. Highly recommend those as well. But this is their brand new unit that just came out, and I can't tell you which one I'm gonna like best, but I have really high hopes for A Christmas Carol, so I can't wait to dive into this. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy homeschooling.